Bitcoin nearly cut in half, altcoins in shambles. Is there really a way to make money in this space? The answer is yes. I'll tell you why in today's REKTelligence report. As a friendly reminder, everything in today's show is for informational purposes only. There is no investment advice given. All right, let's get into the show. Hey everyone, welcome. This is the Edge Report. I'm Dave Bush. Normally in these Thursday videos, I share setups that are quantified opportunities based on current conditions, maybe things that set up in the last few days, or just set up, or are about to set up in the next few days. But today I didn't really find anything overly compelling in that category. But what I am going to do today is show you that even in these current market conditions, for crypto specifically, there are ways to make money. You need the right tools and you need the right logic and so forth. And when everybody is fearful and has lost hope and is writing off this asset class, there is still a very sound way to make money. So let's dive into that. All right, we've got a daily chart of Bitcoin here, and we can see this pretty horrific slide in Bitcoin from north of 100K down to roughly 60K, which is all unfolded mostly this year, accelerated in February this month. And yet we're not just seeing this Bitcoin daily chart here. I've actually created many systems. This is one of them that overlays currently on Bitcoin, although it was designed for alts. More on that in a minute. And you can see a lot of X's there. That has a meaning. I'll explain that in a moment. And you can see also combo long right there, little tag. That's PineScript in TradingView. That's the language PineScript that runs in TradingView. Some are familiar, I'm sure. Others may not be. And we see close entry order, combo long. This is simply a signal that recently triggered in Bitcoin and many other alts. And I'm going to show you a lot of those signals. Again, they're all within the last 2 to 3 weeks. And this one, let's just dive right into it. This one is called the Combo Stretch and Index System. And this essentially bought the closing low in Bitcoin. Now, I did not create this system after this slide. This was actually finalized last year. And so this is all live forward testing. It's out of the out of sample period, which was also used. This is all created very scientifically. And yet there it is. It caught the low here in Bitcoin, and we'll see where it didn't catch lows in some alts and where it did in just a moment. But this is the reversionary part of this particular system. So in other words, this combo edge or system combines a momentum logic with a reversion logic. And the X's here represent that the momentum logic is not even looking for new trades. It is not even eligible according to the logic. Crypto is very tough to trade, especially alts, for almost everybody, quite frankly, unless you have statistically sound, robust logic, methodology, code, all of that and more. And if you're not armed with that, you're really dancing on a razor's edge. You look the wrong way, and it's easy to get flattened in crypto, right? You really need the tools. And I'm saying this as someone who was a horrible discretionary trader 30 years ago when I started, and then got good at discretionary trading, and then became a quantitative trader and learned some lessons along the way there, and have been doing that for probably 20 years or so now. So at any rate, I do have experience on both sides, discretionary and quantitative. And so here you see this reversionary signal triggered again at the closing low, as it turned out, for Bitcoin. And we see this exit over here after this bounce. So quick, not super sexy reversion trade, kind of thing that most people find very hard to do as non-rules-based traders, right? Just buying a falling knife when the market is just at maximum fear. This is something that most people can't do. If you have a dispassionate logic system, however, you can do it. So at any rate, we see this nice bounce. This equity curve up here in the upper right-hand corner, this simply shows the historical equity curve for Bitcoin on this alt. And this was developed in sample and then tested once only at a sample, and it either succeeded or failed. Obviously, this system succeeded. And over to the right, we see certainly that last signal, upper right-hand corner, the one we just saw. This is live forward testing. It's not even at a sample. It just means that the code is working, walking forward into the future. All right, let's look at some others here. And we've got, actually, before I look at some other charts, this is from the course. And this is obviously a lot of detail without the context around it, so I won't go through this slide meticulously. But all of these metrics were part of a robust scientific process of validation. And you see they were tested over alts, top tier alts, a mid-tier list, and an expanded mid-tier list, all in the course, of course. And we see yellow in sample, blue out of sample. And then you see at the bottom some green and then one red square. And basically, those were very critical significance tests. That's statistical significance. Is this really valid? We can make something look very nice in a back test, but if it's not statistically sound, if it doesn't pass a test that separates it as clear signal from possible just random noise, if we're not doing that, we don't really know what we're trading. So that's, of course, baked into everything I teach in the curriculum, and including this slide. So at the very bottom, you see there's a binomial sign test. I won't explain that now, but again, that is in the curriculum, and it's based on profit factor percent. And you can see that out of sample mid-tier passed both the significance and the binomial sign test, as did combined, but the top tier failed the binomial sign test. That's why you see a no there. And yet it passed the significance test, so it's kind of a mixed result. So that kind of rigor helps determine what is sound enough to trade with real money before obviously ever risking it. So here's Cardano. You can see, unlike Bitcoin, this triggered over here where I've got my mouse. You see combo long is a little tag. And then it saw a decline. Ultimately, it rallied up. And this looks like a nominal gain after all of that kind of a round trip that ultimately got back to break even or a little bit better, not much better though. And again, equity curve for Cardano with this same logic. XRP here, this did pretty much like Bitcoin nail the low, this aspect or this reversionary part of the logic. And you see a very robust bounce, and this was closed over here several days later. Let's move on. BNB. First of all, look at the equity curve. Kind of a choppy equity curve, not super pretty, but these were considered. These weren't filtered out in the course. They're all baked into the results because we want to look at what works and what doesn't and consider all of it together. And this is still long, that signal. So today's very positive action here, as I record this anyways, kind of late on Wednesday. This looks, it's certainly above the entry here, and it looks hopefully like it can extend. We'll see. Perhaps I'll update in a future Edge report. Doge, phenomenal equity curve and phenomenal reversionary trade here. Bought the closing low of this whole decline and exited at the expanded range candle here, pretty much the closing high of the recent action of the last month or so. So that is a closed trade. And the equity curve just continues to improve, even though this was not even, this data, of course, was unseen, wasn't even in the out of sample period. All right, picking up the pace. Ethereum, again, not as favorable entry here, and was caught in the slide. It's still long. It's being helped by this, but it is below entry right now. And we see Zcash, which you can see a couple signals here. One from in January, it looks like, nice reversionary signal. This met entry here and got caught, didn't catch the low, but reverted back to the mean and exited recently. And obviously you see this slide afterwards, but it captured that nice reversion. This equity curve also is noteworthy. Pretty much where I'm putting in my mouse is where the last out of sample result occurred, and all of this acceleration is live forward, meaning the code appears to be working robustly as expected. That's the whole point, generalizing into the future well beyond the creation of the course of code and everything. Thanks for watching today's Thursday Edge Report. And if there's one takeaway I hope that I've communicated today, it's simply that crypto is not an unruly, unholy, volatile, hot mess of an asset class. It is dynamic. And there's a reason for the volatility, which relates to its time for price discovery. All of that is in the course. But the takeaway is this, that if you are empowered with the proper framework and understanding, logic, rules, and code, there is tremendous opportunity in the space, even in markets like this, even at times like this, where most people have written off the asset class yet again.